is forming the basis of a new Ukrainian national identity. Things are changing. That country is becoming, it's kind of almost the birthplace of modern Ukraine. I went to Kharkiv in the north a year ago and everybody spoke Russian to me. Now everybody speaks Ukrainian. You know, identities develop and identities change. But in terms of looking into the future, I think you have to be very careful what you predict. Predictions are always easy, but of course, they very seldom come out the way you think they will.
Yeah, and I want to move to the last question. There are many international experts who believe that the security situation in Western Balkans is still fragile. We see that NATO has put more troops, especially in the northern part of Kosovo, in the border with Serbia. So do you think there is a risk for a conflict in the region? Also, the situation is very fragile in Bosnia and Herzegovina. How do you see that, and do you think that a conflict might occur once again in this troubling region?
I think it's possible that a conflict could occur either in northern Kosovo or in Bosnia, but I don't think it's very likely. You know, as somebody who covered the beginning of those wars, there were a lot of pieces that had to be in place for a war, a big war to happen. You know, in Bosnia, it wasn't just a matter of a few nationalists getting together and doing something. They had to get weapons. They had to have a state that supported them, which in that case was Serbia. It had to be organized. You had to almost kind of move whole elements of society around. If you look at the people who led the war in Bosnia, the Serbs that led the war, they weren't the elite of the Serbian communities. These were kind of lowlife that they found somewhere and managed to push up through the system. So it takes quite a lot for a war to happen. And a lot of people are pessimistic about the Balkans. I'm not. I'm actually a bit more optimistic. Not because things are great. They're not. They're okay. But I don't think that large-scale war is about to break out. I also think that it's a slightly different, you know, I love Bosnia. I spent a lot of time there and I went back recently. Bosnia is still, the mood is very depressed. But in Kosovo, it's not. I mean, you guys are optimistic. You're looking to the future. There's a buzz and an energy about Kosovo that even with the war, you're still forward-looking and there seems to be more optimism for the future here. So I'm not going to promise there'll be no conflict, but my guess would be if there is, it certainly won't be as big as the one that there was.
Yeah, just to the last question to add, just one more thing. Do you think it's in the responsibility of the youth generations to change this kind of mentality in the region?
It is in a way, but you know, everybody always sort of puts it on the youth and says, you have to be the future of our country. And you know, sometimes that works and young people, they move on and they get over the past, but sometimes it doesn't. And, you know, I mean, if you look at Russia after the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, things seemed to be getting better and better and better. And then suddenly they took a big turn for the worse. Maybe a slow turn, but nevertheless a big turn for the worse. And, you know, Russia today is in a terrible condition, even as it's causing this massive destruction around it. Russian society